What's next in the Wonderbox?
Next in the Wonderbox is my golf clubs.
Okay. Now, you've not always been a golfer, have you?
No, I sort of played golf as much as anyone would do as a kid, maybe once every couple of years, pitch and putt sort of thing. I had a few lessons, didn't really get the bug. But I did have a set of clubs in my 20s.
Yeah,
and we
I
would go
remember
up to Ashton Court. There's a sort of par 3 course at Ashton Court in Bristol.
Yeah.
And we would go and play every sort of once a month or something. Then I started playing rounds with a friend of mine, but just didn't have the requisite skill to make it enjoyable. So it felt like a slog, and it was like, how the hell does anyone make this work? And then about 8 years ago, Alex Horn, when I moved out to Buckinghamshire, Alex Horn got in touch and said, do you fancy coming on a golf trip? Because you've got a set of clubs. And I was a bit tentative because it was with about 20 other blokes, and I was not really in an environment where I thrive.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, is it going to be a bit laddie and will everyone be loads better than me? But I thought, okay, you just do it. Say yes to something for once. So I went and I just had the absolute best time. And I got the bug immediately. And I think what sets golf apart from most sports is how you can, track your progress really well, which in team sports is quite hard to describe how good a player you are.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking from football, it's it's goals and assists.
Yeah.
But what you can get, if you get one of those kind of sports bras, you can figure out how much you run, and you get a little heat map to see where you run when you play your little five-a-side game.
But it's difficult for me to say to you, where do you stand amongst all the footballers on earth?
Gotcha.
So I can say I've got a golf handicap of 13.2, right? So I can say I'm better than not the majority of golfers, but I'm in the top half of golfers.
Yes.
Because the average handicap, I think, is about 16, 17.
Yeah.
Another thing I like about it, and it'd be interesting to talk to you in relation to football, I love the fact that I can do something as well as a professional every so often.
Yes.
So the last round I played, I had 160, 170 yards to the green, and I hit my 6-iron, and I put the ball 2 feet from the hole. Now, if Tiger Woods had been stood over that ball, he would have taken that.
Yes.
Now, Tiger Woods or whoever, professional, does that far more regularly. In fact, they probably do it more often than not. And yet, I had that one moment where I hit the perfect shot. I couldn't have hit that any better. I mean, it could have gone in, but I love that about golf.
Yes.
How does that compare to hitting a good free kick?
Well, it's a similar thing where, so I played in a football game, it was the game for Ukraine, and instinct kicked in. So I was playing against professionals, and Jack Wilshere, who, played for England, and I think he's 32, he is coming towards me, and I have the ball, and I drop my shoulder, and I go around him, and it was something that it was so natural, but I went around an English footballer, like a professional footballer that played for England, and that feeling of just like, holy shit, like it's so difficult to do that felt, and yet it's like a tiny thing, but it felt great. Well, I tell you what's interesting with sport is the older you get, I'm finding when I play football, I scored a goal probably about 4 years ago now, where it was probably about 30 yards out, and it kind of just bent into the top corner. And as I hit it, I had this kind of sad feeling of going, wow, I think that's the last great goal I scored. I sort of knew in that moment I was going, I think that's my checkout goal.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a really sort of quite a profound moment of going, God, I probably won't do that again.
So I think also with golf, those moments continue throughout, until you're in your 80s. So every golfer, whether they are, because I would argue you're a better footballer than the vast majority of people who play football. I'm a pretty much average golfer.
Yeah.
But every golfer has a moment in a round where they do something perfect. They'll get the ball near the hole. They'll hit a 6-foot putt in, or whatever it is. They'll hit a drive in the middle of the fairway. I like feeling when I play sport like I can have those punch the air moments.
Yes.
Because I am a pathetic. I'm not an elite sportsman. I'll never know what it's like to play at the highest level of anything.
Yeah.
So being able to go, fucking hell, I just did that, and that's magic.
Yes.
Repeatedly over the course of a round of golf, gives me a lot of pleasure.
Absolutely, and well, I think that's the reason I fell in love with football. I can remember, I'm 9, and I was running to the green round the back of our house. And have you ever seen like a dog run? And you know when a dog like is trying to get its arse ahead of its face? I remember like sort of just running, and I couldn't propel my body quick enough to get there because the excitement that you felt when you scored the goal, you just, it's that feeling, particularly at school, if you're struggling academically, every week you would have this opportunity to feel like electric and feel like a star. And I remember one of my favourite goals ever. I was 13, and William Peck, who was a substitute in our team, I made a diagonal run, and he put through this like De Bruyne-esque ball. And I was, I don't know, sort of 15 yards out. And just before I hit it, I screamed. I went, "That is a phenomenal through ball." And then I kind of rammed it in the top corner. And it was this moment of me scoring a good goal, this kind of mighty duck kid off the bench playing, honestly, this defence-splitting ball. And it was, for the whole of the week, it was like, oh my God, can we just talk about that through ball that Peck did? You know what I mean? And I think that's the great thing about whatever your sport is, you have that moment where you've even if you're not great, you've just felt that electricity of like you say, like De Bruyne couldn't have played that ball right. I'd somehow, my mortal feet managed to do the immortal.
Well, one more thing about golf that relates to that is because of the handicap system, I can have those moments against players who are far, far, far better than me.
Yes.
And players who are far worse than me can have those moments against me if we're playing against each other. And in a way that especially with physical sports, it's not possible to.
Yeah.
I mean, you give an example of you like skinning Jack Wilshere.
Yeah.
There aren't many moments where people can say, this person is 10 times better than me at this, and I beat him.
Yes.
Golf is a real sort of Buddhist practice. It is. Russell spits out his coffee, but it is. It is
loved by fat cunts. Sorry.
No, it's a real Zen thing. There's a very famous golf book. It's called Golf is Not a Game of Perfect.
Oh.
It's about accepting your miss and your mistakes, because your mistakes make up 99% of your round of golf. So it's overcoming perfectionism. It's accepting fallibility, and it's also accepting, other people. So the guy behind you having a heart attack because you're going slowly, either you let him play through, which is what you should do, or you sort of feel pity for the poor guy who's hating his hobby. That's the thing about when you get golf
must
wrong.
Be brutal,
when you hate the one thing you do to give you bliss.
Yes.
And there's a whole strand of golf about the sort of mental and emotional state that you get in playing it. Because if I'm chucking my clubs because I've missed a shot, how pointless is that? That's 4 hours of my weekend I'm spending being angry because I'm not as good as a professional golfer.
Yes.
I'm not a professional golfer. So learning that, and I've been an angry golfer in the past, and it's not a fun experience. And, no surprises, you play a lot better when you're in control of your emotions